Today we're going to make a small electric car from a vibrating toothbrush, an old VHS cassette tape. In fact, we'll use two of these because I'm going to use the spools for wheels, and I can get two wheels out of here and use some I've already taken out. You can separate these and get two wheels out of just the one spool if you want, but just for this car I'm going to use them exactly as they are, so I need four of them. I'll also need some kebab skewers or barbecue skewers, a drinking straw, some instant filler. We'll find out how instant it is later on. It says quick drying, but I've no idea how quick. Probably 24 hours knowing my luck. We'll also be using my hot glue gun, because I always do, and my little cheap cordless screwdriver. So first thing we'll do is take this apart. Some of these VHS cassette tapes, that centre screw is a special screw head, but this one's an ordinary cross head, so he's coming out easily. Okay, that's the insides. I'm going to save the case because I'm actually going to use that for the car. But we don't need any of the little bits and pieces inside. You can either throw them away, or if you're like me, I tend to save everything, so I've got a load of bits there. You never know, they might come in useful at some time or other. So we've got two spools. Now if you're actually going to separate them, I don't know if you can see, you can drill out those little heads and then this side just comes off. But I'm not going to separate them today, so there's a small hole there. If you push paper clip through there, that little retaining bit of plastic comes out, and that the tape comes off. That was holding the tape in place. On this one, as I say, if you were taking it apart, you could actually pull the whole coil out in one piece, but because I'm not going to take it apart, I'm going to have to unwind it, so I'll do that off camera because that takes a little while. Right, so now we've got four wheels. Put them to one side for a minute. So I'm actually going to screw this back together now, because I'm going to use it as the body for the car, for no good reason, just for the fun of it. And what we're going to do with this is, there's an electric motor up in there which you can't quite see, which we're going to take out. Take that weight off it, because that's the thing that makes it vibrate, and we don't need that. We're just going to use it as an ordinary electric motor. Put it back in again, cut the end of this plastic case off so that we can get to the end of the motor, and make that into a little pulley, and put a rubber band round it and a rubber band round the wheel, round the drum in the middle there, and use that to drive the car. To get this weight off of here, I'll use this little tool I've made. It's just a piece of metal with a slot in it that fits into, a piece of wood with a hole the right size for that to sit in. Pop that in there. Down those bits so they don't get bent. right size nail, fits on the end of the shaft. That's tapped it through, and the electric motor is there again. Right, I've trimmed this back now as much as I want, so it's in just the right position. What we need to do now is put this all back together. So that spring goes in there and sits around the end of the motor. That little hook goes in there. That all goes back together like that. This now goes in here, slides in, push it all the way up, so you can see I've got access to my shaft on the motor. Next we'll put the battery in now, put that the right way up, push it all back together. Hopefully you can hear that's going. Okay, so what I need to do is put a little dollop of hot glue on the end of there, and that will hold the rubber band in place. Right, we need to put holes in these for the axle to go through. There's actually a little bearing surface there that if I push a hole through from the back, that actually pops out. Yeah, that little plastic bearing thing. But that's quite convenient because that's a nice hole right in the middle then. And that's a tight fit on there. Right, so axle through the middle of the wheel, axle tube, axle through the other wheel, and what I'd normally do is pour hot glue in there, but this time I'm going to give it a try with this instant filler. I suspect this is going to take about 4 or 5 hours to dry, but I'll stick it in and see if it works. You may well ask, why on earth am I using this instant filler? Simply because some people don't have access to hot glue, or they want to use something else. I'm just experimenting to see what else I could use. I mean, this is not designed for this sort of purpose. It's designed for filling holes in your plaster. But all I want it to do is set hard, and that should hold the wheels in place. While we're waiting for that stuff to dry, and I think I've waited about half an hour so far and it's still soft to touch. I've just put a bit of hot glue on the end of the shaft of this motor. That's just to help the rubber band stay in place. Still waiting for this stuff to dry. It's hard round the outside edge, but it's still soft in the middle. So while I'm waiting, I shall glue a little bit of cardboard onto the bottom of my vibrating toothbrush. That means when I finally glue it onto here, it'll be set up a little bit, so I can still take the back off to replace the battery if I need to. I've hot glued the back axles on now, on both, so at least it's beginning to look like it should do. This stuff's still a bit soft. It's dry around the edges, but in the middle it's still a bit soft if I poke it with the pointy stick. So that's about an hour. I've even given it a bit of a blast with a hot a hairdryer to try and heat it up and speed it up a bit. So I won't be recommending that method of sticking wheels in place, but it was worth trying. I mean, you don't know whether it's going to work unless you try it out. Certainly if I wasn't in a hurry it'd be alright, leave it overnight and it'd certainly dry. Still need to fit my electric motor in place with the rubber band that's going to go in there and round there. But I shan't do that until that's fully dry, otherwise that's definitely going to twist the wheel and ruin everything I'm trying to achieve. Okay, I've stuck the motor in place. I've actually used a bit of double-sided tape rather than hot gluing it in place so I can move it again if I need to. Confession time, the stuff still isn't dry. I've just lost patience with waiting for it, so bad example all round no doubt. But we'll go downstairs to the kitchen and give it a test run anyway. Okay, test run time. The quick seal or quick dry filler is still not dry. I've just lost patience with it really. I really ought to be doing this, leave it overnight and do it tomorrow, but I'm just going to give it a go now anyway. I've actually put a bit of hot glue on the outside of this wheel just to try and hold it still, and I'll leave the rest as they are. So I've put the motor on top, connected up the rubber band. Switch it on. As you can see, wheel is moving. I'll catch it before it hits the wall because I expect the wheels will fall off if it does that. Let it go back the other way. It again. Can I turn it off with one hand? Yes. Okay, summary time. What have we got here? We've got a VHS video cassette which we've made into an electric car. Why have we done it? On quite a few of my projects lately I've been using the spools from these VHS video cassettes to make wheels, and I bought a few more today just so I could get some more wheels, and while I was doing that I thought, why don't I just use one of the cassettes as the chassis for a car. So that's what I've done. So the wheels are spools from cassettes, you get 2 per cassette. The motor is a vibrating electric toothbrush that I've cut the end off so we can get to the shaft, put a rubber band around it, connected that to the back wheel, and that's what drives the car forwards. The axles are kebab skewers or barbecue skewers. One of the things I did in this car was experimented using some, it was actually labelled, I think it was instant filler or quick dry filler or something. It's the sort of stuff you would normally use for filling cracks in plaster work. I just thought I'd give it a try. Basically it doesn't dry quickly enough for me. I think it's the sort of stuff you should leave overnight. I've left it about 3 hours now and it's still soft. So if you're doing a project that it doesn't matter if you leave it overnight to dry, then it'll probably be alright. But I like to be able to get my jobs done within 3 hours, so I've got fed up with waiting. So that's why that back wheel's a little bit loose. Anyway, there we go. That's bargain store project number 38. The vibrating toothbrush came from the bargain store, cost £1, and the cassette cost me, was it 5 for £1, so that's 20p. And it works. So, hope you liked it.